What's up, Jose?
How we doing, buddy?
Fantastic. How you doing?
Great. It's been a while. Figured there's a lot of current events to cover.
Yeah.
So we might as well get back on here and talk about the New Englands that just happened. I know some of our viewers are not from the New England area, but some are. So why not cover the New Englands and give some updates of what's been going on with you?
For sure. So let's
So
start with, your take on the New Englands. Obviously, you were a judge. You had a bunch of athletes in the show. You were a spectator while also being a judge. What was your take on this show? I mean, you've been judging these shows a long time. For Steve and Jay, New England
yeah,
and the Cutler show. What was your take on this one compared to years past?
I think it was the best quality in quite some time. Just because of the pandemic shit. A lot of people were unsure whether the show was going to happen. So a lot of people just skipped it and didn't end up doing it. I think we had over 150 competitors. So that was really good. And the quality was really good. All the winners were really, really good quality. So that was a big improvement from the last few years, particularly like Big John in bodybuilding, super heavyweight, 6'2", 253 pounds. That's a big man. And he
You
came
probably
in.
haven't had that since like Robbie Gould, right? Where
Right.
a big super that you're like, this guy has some real potential to turn pro. Obviously you can say that if a middleweight wins a light heavy, but
Yeah.
someone like John, when a guy that big, is he like 6'3"?
Yeah, it's at least 6'2". Yeah.
Yeah. So 6'2", 6'3". What do you weigh on stage?
He was low 250s, 253 probably.
Peeled.
Yeah.
Most shredded glutes in the show. So
Yeah.
when you've got a guy that's that tall, that wide, that heavy, and that peeled, he walks out and people go like, oh shit, show's over.
Yeah. He was the best conditioned guy with the most muscle and very aesthetic for such a tall, big guy, So he was a clear winner. That was awesome to see. Like you said, we haven't seen a big guy like that in a long time. So it was really good to see. There were some really good competitors though. Eric was absolutely peeled. He did a phenomenal job after a pretty long prep. He's done a couple of shows, and he was the light heavyweight. Oh no, wait, he was a middleweight, right?
Middleweight, yes.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. He was definitely the second clear cut second best guy there. But there were a lot of good competitors all around. The men's physique guy, he's just a hair away from being really legit. He could go to a national show right now.
Yeah.
He was really polished, a lot of muscle on him. I mean, that's what these guys are now. They're big dudes. They're not, skinny board short guys anymore. They're big guys. And he certainly has the structure to add even more.
Yes.
So that was really good. Another local girl that comes into Gym Hub here and there is Carrie Berry there. She won the women's figure. She was shredded. Like to see her a little fuller for the next show, but she was crazy conditioned, great legs. Who else do we have? We had Laura winning her class. She's another Gym Hub regular. I mean, that was so good to see. So many people that either train there occasionally or train there regularly doing well.
Yeah.
So
everybody.
Yeah.
Like pretty much everybody, right? You had everyone you named. Roberto, right? Obviously coached, and you can get to him for sure because he deserves a mention. But everybody that comes here regularly and trains did well. When I say well, like won their class or won an overall.
Yeah.
Oh, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. Well, you know, that says a lot about the place. You know, it's not a gym. It's a gym, but it's a place where people come to train. It's not a place where people come to socialize and you know, it's not your ordinary gym. People have to go out of their way to come there and experience the atmosphere and the equipment.
Yeah.
You know, and that's precisely what you did in building this gym. Was you know, very specific pieces of equipment that everybody loves. There's never been someone who trained there and said, it was okay. You know, everyone loves it and they all come back. So, you know, this was a good example this weekend with all those winners and, you know, people that just did well, did their best. That's the most important thing. You're not going to win every show, but if you're going to improve, that's a win, you know, serious improvement. And that's what it's all about. Yeah. So we had Roberto, who's 48 years old, the most conditioned guy in the whole show. If you just go by pictures, you can't tell. If you go close up to him, I've never looked at someone and been like, what is that? Like, I can't even figure out what that is.
He's the perfect example when you say like pictures don't do him justice,
right?
Because it doesn't do him justice. Like when you see him up close, how thin his skin is in his upper body,
yeah,
all the little bit of detail, I don't think probably will show with the photos in the lineup, right? Like he'll look lean, he'll be the leanest guy up there, but you won't be able to grasp how lean he is.
Yeah. Jay was on the treadmill doing cardio. Jay Cutler, he comes in and trains at Gym Hub when he's home, and he's on the treadmill and he sees Roberto across the gym and he goes, "Oh my God!" He goes, "I've never looked like that." He's like, "I've never seen that." It was crazy how shredded the guy is. He was doing a little photo shoot and Jay was watching, and clearly Jay was really impressed with him. So that was pretty awesome to see. You know, back to Jay, you know, I wrote a post on something you put up. The energy that he brings into that gym, it was like after he left, the whole gym was buzzing and just everyone fired up because he spends time with each and every person in there, taking pictures with people, encouraging people, talking, just like he's a regular guy in the gym, you know? And it was just so cool to watch everyone digging a little deeper after he left, and everyone in a good mood and just really crazy energy in there. It just says so much about Jay. You cannot not love the guy.
There's so much, you know. I was talking to one of my clients this morning, and he met Jay on Sunday. So Jay's been in 3 times now in the last 4 or 5 days. You know, he just left maybe 30 minutes ago. We're taping this. He was in on Sunday, obviously, what we're talking about, the photo shoot the day after the show. And I had my client that's the realtor that I just was training him, introduced him to Jay. Obviously, Jay at one point owned some properties and is very, very business savvy, even though he doesn't really let on, you know, with when he does podcasts or what the average person would see. And so I introduced him, and Jay just wanted to know all about him. How's the market here? What, and just engaged him. And it was making that guy feel special. He's so good. It's unbelievable. He was telling me, like, even when Jay was leaving, my client was on the treadmill. He went out of his way to give pounds to every last person he had talked to before he left, right? Went up to my client on the treadmill and was like, you know, hope you have a good quarter. You know, if the market doesn't tank for you, all the best, man. I'll see you next time I'm here. Gave him a pound. And so my client today was like, you know, he's like, I don't know anything about bodybuilding. You tell me he's a big guy in the sport. I believe you. I don't really care. He's like, but I was talking to him. They were on the treadmill together for a while before Jay left. And I was talking to him about his investments of real estate, of the medical marijuana company, the ammunition company. And he's like, holy shit, I wasn't expecting that. You know, he has all of these investments and he's so smart about it in a very deceiving way. Because he's not, he doesn't brag about anything. You know, he's not going around telling everyone he bought a $200,000 Porsche or he has a Rolex or, you know, he doesn't talk about this shit at all, but if you like, I love this shit. So I'm asking him, right? I told you, I talked to him about his Cameo app, and he's just like, opens it up. Here's what I've made year to date. Here's how it works. Right. Like, in a way. And he's like, dude, you and Jose should do it. He's like, it's great. I do 4 or 5 of these a day. I get paid $80 a video to just shit on people. Like, people want to be roasted by Jay, or there's encouragement, a happy birthday, good luck in your show. And I was thinking about that too, because Jay's your era, possibly before your era, right? Because he started so young in terms of IFBB, of how well he's pivoted from being the guy with the $1 million muscle tech contract, and just people paying to use his image and maybe going to some expos, to, dude, he's the king of social media right now. He's on everything. He's his YouTube channel is thriving. It's a real platform in the bodybuilding world. Instagram, probably TikTok, the Cameo app, his supplement company, right? Like, he's doing all these collaborations with all these fitness influencers you and I have never heard of. And it's a real testament of all these Northeastern kids that come into my gym. If you ask them to name 2 bodybuilders, they're going to say 1 Chris Bumstead, 2 Jay Cutler. And that's all they know, right? Those are the 2 that they know. But the fact that Jay's been able to tap into that, he's got his Young LA clothing, which, he's has a deal with them where that's helping his brand in other ways, right? Because like, they're pushing Jay, and man, it's every time he leaves, I have so much more respect for the guy. And it has nothing to do with bodybuilding.
I talked to Chris after the show, and after I had seen Chris Aceto, I talked about Jay, seeing him in the gym, and I'm like, dude, there's legit nobody like him. There's Arnold was Arnold because he was a movie star and he was great, but as far as giving back to the fans and giving back to the bodybuilding community and just who he is as a person, there's no comparison. There's nobody like Jay, how much he actually does do day in and day out. He's a workaholic, and he's just like puts in so much effort to make everyone around him feel appreciated and feel good. And man, there's so much you could say about him.
And it's not an act, right? Like, what you see in camera, or maybe he knows, like any average person would say, all right, I've got a show, I got to stand around all day, take pictures, so I need to be this guy, right, that's nice to everybody. But we're seeing him behind the scenes. He's just coming to my gym to train. Like, he just get his workout in. He's going to visit his mom after he just left today. He's got stuff to do. It's like, let me get my workout out of the way. And he took time today, as he did all of the other days, to pose for pictures with everybody, to ask people about them. What are they training for? Are they going to compete? What's the show? Right. Like, in between sets. And like, I'm amazed, because it's such a simple thing, but I wouldn't do it instinctually, right? If I was going to train someplace and I had people talking to me, I would be like, all right, let's get this out of the way. Now I need to train. I don't want to be bothered. And he doesn't have that, right? He's just always on, but it's not an act. It's who he is.
He's certainly different from when he was training. If he was competing, he would go in at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning when no one's there, because obviously he couldn't spend that time while he's training. But he does a damn good job of getting his workouts in and making time for everyone. That's what is so amazing, is that he does it better than anyone, period. So he left today.
Came from the gym today too, is so he trained legs. And he's using all the old Flex Fitness pieces, the hamstring curl, the leg extension. And he gets to the last leg press we got, the AFS leg press, where you're sitting upright and you're pushing in front. And he's like, man, I remember using a machine that looked just like this at Nautilus Plus. And I was like, dude, this is the machine. This is the same machine, right? Like, it would have been Nautilus Plus to Greater Boston Fitness to now here. I'm like, this is that machine. How crazy is that?
You're talking 30 years ago.
Yep, exactly.
I bet that machine is 30 years old.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So back to the show. There was Man, there wasn't a ton of bodybuilders. There was a decent amount, but I think you're going to find that as time goes on and all the different divisions, the men's physique and the classic physique, it's kind of I don't want to say watering down, but it's making the bodybuilding a lot smaller.
Yeah.
You know, I remember back in the day when I did this show, my first time, 1993, you know, there had to have been 100 bodybuilders. You know, there was like 25 middleweights alone, 20 light heavyweights, 15 heavyweights. You know, it was pretty crazy. But that's what's going to happen with the onset of all different divisions where people fit in. But the quality was good. There was some really good ones. It was good to see Josh Brown getting better, making improvements. You know, he's another local light heavy. I hope he listens and goes to middleweight, and because he could do really well. I think is he doing another show, Easterns?
Easterns. Yeah, Easterns. What's like two or 3 weeks, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plenty of time to make middleweight if he so chooses. But yeah, there was you know, a lot of first timers that I had a bikini girl, Kelly Vendetti from Connecticut, and she, you know, you could tell she was a little nervous and had never done it, especially bikini, because the walk and the posing is so different. You know, with bodybuilding, you can just hit the shot and there's no swagger involved. You don't really need it. Where with bikini, it can be awkward. But she did a hell of a job. It was great to see that. And I also had Cynthia in there in Masters figure. She was awesome. Her upper body is shredded. She still needs time to, you know, get a little harder down below, but she was nervous too. You know, you could tell she hadn't been on stage in quite some time. But yeah, it was great. And then it's always fun sitting at the judges table with all the pros, Heidi and Justin and Linda and Maria and Dwayne and Darren were head judges. Yeah, it's always a good time. I think this is the best one in many years, for sure. And that's a good sign that things are behind us, and you know, people can focus back on their training again and get in there. I'm sure the Cutler is going to be even better.
I think so. So Jay and I actually spent a long time in the gym today. Jay wants to make these shows better. Obviously not only bigger and financially more successful for him and Steve, but we talked at length today of he wants to make it better for the athletes, right? Like there's obviously some limitations on him of what he can do for awards, but Jay's telling me, like, dude, if I could help it, everybody would leave with a statue, and the overall would have those, you know, a 3-foot statue. You know, but there's always cost restrictions on this stuff. But we were talking today, you know, and I reached out to Pete at ANC, and I said, hey, Pete, just talking with Jay about what we can do to make this more special for the athletes, because it starts with the athletes, right? If you can separate Jay's 2 shows from all of the others, and obviously they're already separated because Jay's a part of it, right? Like that. And they're established, right? Because Jay's name is tied to it, or New England's has been around forever and is historically the show to do and to try to win. But like, if you could just up the prizes a little bit more and make the athletes feel a little bit better, that's a reason to do those shows, maybe versus some others, right?
Yeah.
So I talked to Pete. Pete's going to make custom tattoo belts for all of the overall winners.
Huge.
And so it's, you know, it works for Pete because when people see these things, they want one, you know. And then imagine like going into the gym with a Jay Cutler classic overall champ belt, right? Like, dude, if I won that show on Saturday, I would be at the gym the very next day with that belt on, you know? So it's a little gesture that, like, the pride that you would have, like, whatever that belt's worth is whatever, right? It's invaluable because of what it means to you. So just as I was sitting with Jay, I was like, hold on, I got an idea. 3 minutes later, Pete gets back to me. He's like, whatever Jay needs. So we're talking about doing the belts, what we can do to possibly get more vendors there to have it be more of an experience. Like there were only 3 vendors this time.
Yeah.
You know, so like when you go to some of these other shows, maybe there's a food vendor selling pre-workouts and protein shakes and protein bars and something that makes the day a lot easier for us that are there all day.
Yeah.
You know, you could have a concierge doctor, like the guy you and I know, who does a lot of blood work for bodybuilders, who would make sense for him. So we were spouting off a lot of ideas. Do more for the competitors. There definitely can be a lot more done for promotion. Like I got a lot of college kids out to these shows who I was like, if you're thinking of competing, go to this show.
Right.
I wouldn't have gone otherwise because there isn't the marketing campaign behind it, right? Even for spectators to go and watch. So Pete agreed to help with that. He's going to really start pushing the show. So like within 30 minutes, Jay expressed like, I want to make this better, right? I don't want to be complacent and sit on my ass and say, these shows are established, like whatever, I can just show up and you know, get the check and cash it. He's like, I want to be the best and biggest show. And I think we're lacking. I think there's more that we can do. So one of the things Jay wanted to do is give away a lot of his products to all of the overall winners, right? So besides the big trophy, the Cardillo belt, you get tub of protein, a pre-workout, an amino, right? But it's logistically hard for Jay to, does he ship it to the hotel? Like, you know, as you know, they go to the venue early that morning to put the banners up and he doesn't have help with this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's him and Steve. And this time Steve was halfway across the world, you know, so it's just him, and Steve has his crew, the expediters, running a show, but not doing all these extras that Jay would want to do. Right. So we talked about like, dude, lean on me, all of that protein and shit, ship it to my gym. We'll get it here. We'll put the bags together. Like it'll take 15 minutes for me to do all that, you know, I'll get some of the college kids to help out. So like little things that logistically are hard for Jay to do because he doesn't live here. And he flies in for the show and who can get it done. I was like, dude, I'll do it. You know, like it's really simple. And if it means that it's a better experience for the competitors and you get a better show, and if Pete and myself and we can get a whole group of people to push the show a lot more, get more spectators, it's a win for everybody.
Yeah. And then there'll be more competitors that are going to want to do it. No, that's a great idea. And that also says a lot about Jay. He's just never satisfied. You know, it was a very successful weekend, but he's constantly thinking of how to be better. And that's what it's all about. So did you, speaking of being better, you see that picture of Lunsford, Derek Lunsford?
You sent it to me. Yes. Crazy.
He's massive.
What do you think he weighs?
I have no idea. Probably still close to 250. I would bet.
Looking at that, what do you think he's going to be on stage?
228.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. And he's going to be crazy looking.
Man, I caught your podcast with Fuad where you guys made predictions, right? And every sort of had him in the 8, 9, 10 spot. I don't know, man. I'm thinking he might make that top 6.
Yeah, that's where I had him.
Yeah.
But you know, it is so stacked in there. But I do believe if he looks like I think what he's gonna look like, that he's gonna have a battle with guys like Nick Walker and even Hadi, or you know, he could be as high as 2nd, 3rd. Who knows? He could win. He's that crazy looking.
Yeah.
You know, his front double next to Rami, his waist is like the size of Rami's knee. You know?
I've seen him in person, right, at Carbon Culture, where he was, what was he then? Maybe 250. I mean, he's a way better bodybuilder now, but we saw a taste of what he was off season with separated legs and somewhat striated glutes at 245, 250. You know, and he's saw
morphed since then.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That was a lot.
Way bigger. Yeah.
That was where he had that limiter on, right? Where he was like, I can't get too big because I got to make 212.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to make a prediction. I don't. He could be as high as God knows. He could win. I don't know. It's that crazy. People call us nuts for saying that, but
Yeah.
he's that good because he has width like a big open guy, and he has a waist of a classic guy, and now he has the muscle of a massive open guy. You know, so pound for pound, he's probably going to be the biggest guy on stage.
That's the variable, right? Because you see all these photos of him at MI40 and the lighting there's crazy, right? Everybody looks almost photoshopped, right? Where however they have that downward lighting on that turf
Yeah.
at 40. So you'd see that. And obviously, even when he won last year, it was a very deflated version, right? Because he had to suck down so much to make weight. And we saw his legs in person, right? From a year prior, which were massive, and it didn't carry over, right? Like obviously he lost legs as he had to go down to make 212. His chest deflates a lot. So it's like, man, what does he look like if he doesn't lose those body parts and he can be peeled, right? Assuming shredded glutes and separated everywhere. That's the hard part with trying to call these things is we haven't seen it. Like we saw him at Pittsburgh, you know, and he won that. You know, if you were somehow judging, you know, off-season bodybuilders guest posing, he won that, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously it's not fair to guys like Brandon, right, who are off everything and but you can get a glimpse of what the potential is, and you can imagine what that would look like just peeled and full, showing up on stage with a big chest, big legs.
Yeah. That's why I sent you that picture, because
it's crazy.
That's a better idea of what he's capable of looking at. He looks even harder through the chest and shoulders than he did on stage last year.
Yeah, because there's always been that softness, right? Almost the new, right? Nothing really striated. He's big, but it was that soft new muscle, and you know, in that pic, that's not the look at all. It looks
he's looking harder. This is going to be exciting. I really can't wait to see it and to see how this goes down, because as of right now, I have no idea, and that's what makes it exciting. It's pretty wild. So what else is going on with you, Nate? How's the gym going?
It's great. It's great, man. It's, you know, it's funny. Somebody, you know, when we decided to call it Gym Hub, the concept of the gym was just going to be personal training studios, right? There wasn't even the concept of this bodybuilding-esque gym with great equipment. It was, there's a need for trainers who are working at a corporate gym to have a place to go to be independent. You know, if they want to leave that, work for themselves. And the goal was just to put a bunch of rooms all throughout the city. So wherever you're from, you know, there's a 600, 500 square foot room here and here and here. And that's kind of where the name Gym Hub came from, right? Sort of just, they're all over the place. And obviously it's evolved to what it is now, where we have 3 private rooms, but that's not at all the draw. The draw is the gym and the equipment and the atmosphere, and which was kind of a happy accident. You know, that wasn't the business plan. That wasn't what we pitched to the, you know, the landlord and the brokers when we were getting the lease, but it evolved, and it's been a very happy accident. And somebody mentioned the other day, they're like, you really are the Gym Hub. You get people from every gym around coming in to your gym to meet. And I was like, holy shit, like that wasn't at all the thought behind the name.
Yeah.
It's very much turned into that. People north, south, west, all saying like, hey, leg day at Gym Hub on Sunday, meet me there, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so cool. Like I was on such a high this weekend, obviously, because all of your people, and even, you know, people you haven't worked with that come here occasionally, a Carrie, when we did the posing seminar, right? The girl, Brandy, the wellness girl won the overall. So even just little involvement of the stuff we tried to do here, like the posing seminar, and these people coming in, you now feel a little invested in them and you're rooting for them, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
that
so
Magina girl, she's incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy,
what a sweet girl too. She was like on cloud 9.
Her first show.
High from it.
First show. And those are the people, the Brandy girl, right? To be her first show ever, and she wins wellness overall. Magina to all her bikini wins that she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't be happier for them. Like it's their whole thing, but you're just on the sidelines rooting. And so, man, I was so happy because these people were coming to the gym routinely, and you saw the suffering. You saw them coming in saying like, oh boy, I'm on 40 grams of carbs today,
Yeah.
and it's leg day, it's back day. This is going to be a rough one, and you watch them go through it and show up. Big John, is a great example of and what's crazy about someone like Big John, really everybody that we're talking about coming here was so humble in the process.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't have any people, Laura, Big John, Roberto, John, the men's physique guy, nobody being like, this is my fucking show. I'm gonna, like typing up posts, right?
Yeah.
I work harder than anyone else, and you're gonna see it at the show. If anything, they were like, you think I'm gonna do okay? I don't know. I feel a little small. There was this humbleness and like asking for feedback and wanting to learn. And so, man, I was so proud sitting there seeing these people that I watched the whole process and felt invested in get all of these wins and essentially get what they work so hard for. So I was so happy to have that small part of it, of having the home in which everybody can train at, and then just being there when I can to just take a look at somebody for posing. If you weren't around, John would say, hey, can I hit some shots for you and give me some feedback on this stuff, and it goes to show you the winner mindset that these people had. Is they, like you mentioned with Jay, is just wanting to learn and keep getting better.
Yeah. And no stone unturned.
Yep.
And they were posing every week. A lot of people do not pose, or they think they're posing. If you're practicing posing incorrectly, then you're wasting time.
Yeah.
So at least they seek out proper help to make sure they're doing it perfectly.
Man, that was, I talked to you after the show, and, I coach some people, but, my priorities recently have been the gym. And then I train a lot of people one-on-one. Yeah. And I have some online clients, and I've literally every competitor I've ever worked with has been first or second place, but I don't promote it. Right. It's like people I meet in the gym and relationships, or somebody reaches out. I'm not making posts. I'm not trying to build a team of competitors. But man, like I told you after the show, there were so much bad coaching that you could see. And look, it's not fair to say that, if a coach comes in with one athlete, right? Because not everybody's going to be a rock star. We got our friend Taki, who, isn't going to come in and win an overall at the New Englands, but holy shit, did he look awesome. And he looked the best that he's ever looked in his life. Right.
He's one of the ones that I was saying, he's drastically improving each time out.
Yeah.
And that's all you can ask for. He doesn't have the greatest genetics, and he just got into it. He lived the majority of his life as a chubby, skinny guy. Yeah. And now he's, changed all that. You can tell, when he's in the gym with a tank top on, you can tell that guy is something, he's a competitor. Yeah. So I'm crazy proud of him too.
And still super humble,
just
wanting to learn and get better, and, finding people to train with, and man, it's such an amazing thing to see, because he's 40, right? So to have that transformation at 40, be in the best shape of your life, also have more control of your life when you have a lot of chaos going around you, right? To be kind of like The Rock always says, right? Like that weight training session is how you ground yourself for the day. I really think that's helped ground him mentally, right? With all of the craziness he has going on. Man, is that like a role model for other 40-year-olds out there who say, well, it's too late, I don't have the time, I have kids, I have an important job. Is like, he has all of that, and he's still doing everything it takes, with not the world's best genetics, and still showing up every day, and show after show, but getting better, and not getting discouraged with the placings. So I say that, like, there were, and I think it's important to bring up just for people who listen to this, who might be thinking of competing. You know, there's the old saying, success leaves clues, right? Which is why, like, when Jay Cutler's in the gym, I'm just all ears, right? Like, whatever I can soak up and learn, because that's success, right? And it leaves clues in his day, what he does on a day-to-day, right? And the same is true for coaching, because it's like, look at your people that came in. Justin Randall's people. And there's a clear pattern, not just this show, but every show. And there's others, right? I don't want to, I'm just mentioning one other name of somebody who had a lot of winners, you know, in one show, coaching a lot of people. Everybody looked great, you know, the best that they could look, you know, is the best to put it. And then there was a clear pattern of people who were a whole team of people that were completely over dieted, like nothing left, right? And then there was a whole team of people that nobody was in shape and nobody knew how to pose, right? And again, I'm not saying this to like name names or shame people, but I'm saying it in terms of, if you're a competitor and you're trying to find a coach because you want to compete and you want to do well, you know, you want to win a show, there's clear patterns going on here from show to show to show of which coaches are making winners, you know, and take the genetics aside, there's all of the stuff I've learned from you of having the perfect tan, because damn does the tan matter, right? You and Justin are the only two that I've seen really hammer that, you know. And you know, you have people manually put the tan on. Justin has his own girl spraying people because he knows it's going to be dark enough, right? You don't leave any. It's so crazy to me, and I get it. I didn't get it when you first told me, but you put all of this work in, and you are putting yourself at a disadvantage if they decide to spray tan you too light. Right? It's immediately noticeable. It looks like you got one light coat, you know, and everyone else on stage that went through these other doing it themselves, or someone else has 6-7 coats on, right? It's like, it's such a clear advantage for them. And there's coaches out there that aren't even aware of this, you know. There's the posing stuff, like, you know, we've talked about with certain people that it would drastically improve their placings if they posed better, because all of the shots that they're hitting make themselves look closed off and small and you know, the attention that you spend with this, that Justin's people spend with this, is noticeable, and it improves placings, you know. So there's lots of coaches up there where I was watching all of these people, just, it was, in some cases it was like when somebody has like a 3-year-old child that's trying to hit poses like their dad, right, where they're just like doing this stuff where you're like, how is that? I hear the coach yelling at them, right? The coach is yelling their number and cheering, like, how are you letting them up there like that without?
Because there's so many coaches now, and the majority of them can't pose themselves. So they don't know to fix it. They don't know they'll be like, oh, just go to Kenny or go to someone else. If you can't spend the time with your person to make sure their presentation is spot on, then what are you doing? How are you even calling yourself a coach?
People outsource it, right? Because you get to that volume of 50, 80, 100 clients. You know, one coach I heard had 150 people. You don't have time to work with posing on people. So you outsource it, right? Here's your workout, here's your diet, here's your drugs. Go see this person for posing. Good luck on show day. I'll send you.
I don't want that. I don't want 150 people, because I won't be able to put in the time that I want to put in. You know, if I have 6 clients and 4 of them win, that's a hell of a job. If you have 150 clients and none of them win, what's going on? Are you doing it for you or for them? You know, that's why I've never been into crazy marketing myself as a coach. I wouldn't have time to have that many clients. I mean, after a weekend like this, I get hit up, I get DMs, I get emails, and sure, I'll take on some more, but I'm never that crazy person that's nonstop. And I should advertise a little more, or just, if not just to promote the people that I'm helping. And
Yeah.
I'm so lazy on social media as it is that I don't even put stuff up. I'm like, they'll do it themselves. But yeah, I'm doing actually a podcast with Ron in muscular development about this very topic. He texted me today
Okay.
because he
West City
was,
coaching.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, about how everyone's a coach. And I honestly think there should be some governing body that stops it, because if you have to have a certification, you have to have a degree to be anything else in the world. But now all of a sudden you've done one NPC show and you're a coach.
Yeah.
And it can be dangerous. It
Yeah.
can be dangerous, and it's wasting time, and it's fraudulent, and all the above.
Because like, I don't even blame these people that, are part of the 150 people working with a coach. Typically those coaches, what they lack in coaching, they make up for in marketing and posting.
Right. Yeah.
And so they're the loudest voice in the room. And if
Yeah.
you don't know any better, like, what's the difference between Jose and Justin Randall and Andrew Barry and X, Y, and Z that I see post all the time? Probably go with the guy that's just on your feed, right? Posting all the time. And people don't know any better. It's unfortunately, this is why I wanted to bring it up, is because it's basically like the training field too, right? You and I have been trainers for a really long time. Probably 80% of the trainers out there suck. Fair to say, right?
Yeah.
You walk into any commercial gym, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as somebody lost a little bit of weight. They enjoy being in the gym. They don't want to work a real job. I'll be a trainer. And they have no educational background. Maybe they got a quick weekend certification. Now they're a trainer, right? And it's far different than, say, what someone like you is doing, or all the various trainers that are training at Gym Hub now, right? Who have been doing this for a while. Same thing for the coaching world, is there's no barrier to entry. And it's essentially the best marketer wins, because the consumer isn't educated, right? That's why I wanted to bring this up today, is even if it's just a matter of saying, look, success leaves clues. If you're doing a show and you would like to win someday, maybe not your first show, who's the coach that has the winning athletes, right? I knew once I started competing, I would like to go all the way and get a pro card. So I should probably find a coach who has turned people pro before, right? And you had, so it was a no-brainer. So,
or 1/8 of them himself.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So
clearly I have an idea of how to get one of those.
Yeah. That's
I can probably help you.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the part that, like, while it seems so common sense to me, clearly is missing with people when they're picking coaches, right? Like, you have a coach that, when they competed, they couldn't win a show. Their athletes that they coach can't win a show. And obviously people don't know what posing is. So you can't look and say, well, all these coaches, their clients, their posing sucks. They're not lean enough. Like, you don't have the eye, right? So that's the hard part, is you and I can spot it out and say, well, consistently this coach, their people are like this, or right? We see these patterns show after show. Other people don't have the eye for that, So that's the hard part. I don't know what the solution is. I'll listen to that podcast you do with Ron to see what you come up with. But because the problem is you get government involved. Like, they tried to do that for training. I don't know if you remember, Jose, it was like 2009 or something. Massachusetts had a bill up in the legislature that in order to be a personal trainer, you had to get a license from the state. And in order to get a license from the state, you had to have a 4-year degree in exercise science, or in like a small relatable field, right?
I like that.
Yeah. And what happened was the whole industry lobbied against it, right? You had all of the gyms and the certification, everybody that's making money off of churning these young kids, threw a bunch of money at it, and it went away.
Yeah.
But, that's the only other thing is how do you you know, who does it? Does the government get involved? Obviously, the government's not going to get involved in bodybuilding prep coaching. You know,
No.
like, you know, who's giving the safest cycles out to their
Yeah, I
athletes?
mean, the whole thing is essentially illegal.
Yeah, right, right.
How you no, you can't get anyone involved, but it's
Right.
um
It has to be some sort of self-police. And I think like anything, like the supplement world, like what you're seeing nowadays with the PED world is people talking about it and putting information out there so people can make a more informed decision.
yeah, yeah. We'll get Goob in on it.
Yeah.
Goob can be like, this coach sucks. People should not be going to this coach. But no, I mean, you and I talk about it. We kind of just laugh, or sometimes it's sad because you see what happens, particularly to some of these young girls that are, 4 months ago they looked awesome, and then they hit the stage and they look like they're 63 pounds.
Yeah.
Like that ain't good. I ain't
No.
doing 3 hours of cardio on zero carbs for weeks on end is fucking ludicrous.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it more and more often.
I think also what like really bothers me about it is like, yeah, that person will not do as well as they could have just from a competitive standpoint. But you and I both know that's probably going to ruin the sport for somebody when they finish that prep. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's so miserable. Why would you ever do that again if you think, like, look, you and I have seen the posts over the years from the girl that did one bikini show who's now telling everybody it ruined her health and stay away from, right? Like, stay away from this. It's not healthy. Yeah. And it's like, look, I don't doubt that you probably did some dumb shit and you had a bad coach and it ruined you, but that's not how it has to be, right? Laura is a great example, right? The preps that she had done prior to knowing you, these previous shows, sound like they were kind of a mess, right? She didn't have coaching. And then how this prep went, right? Not only did she look night and day better, but just seeing her and talking to her, because she was one of those people that would kind of post, or I'd hear her talk about with people in the gym of, that competing thing's not for me. Here's all the downsides of it. Yeah. After having some not so great experiences, to now this past weekend going through things the right way, feeding her body, having a coach that's constantly looking and saying, we got to back off of cardio. I know this was the plan we set out, but your body's changing. Like, you need more food and less cardio. And
so she was healthy going through the whole prep. She was strong. Her workouts were strong. She was in a good mood. It's important to feel good, to look good. I mean, there's a certain point for bodybuilding where you got to have striated eyeballs. You're not going to feel very good at certain points. But for a bikini girl, she should feel good, healthy, beautiful. And that's precisely how she was feeling, because she'd be like, are you sure you want me to eat this? You're trying to sabotage my prep. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't want you to look scrawny. Yeah. I'm like, keep eating. And sure enough, she looked incredible. So, that's the difference between someone who knows what they're looking at, someone who's been there a million times, and someone who just sticks to this arbitrary plan of, no, we got to get you leaner. We got to keep going. Sometimes it's more food that'll get her leaner. You don't know if you don't know. Yeah, that's the bottom line.
Yes. Yeah. Most prep coaches are repeating back when they used to compete what worked for them on all of their things, right? If they needed low carbs and a ton of cardio, that's what everybody does. Yeah. If in their prep, for whatever reason, their coach gave them burger and fries every weekend, that's what they do. Everybody gets a burger and fries,
Not one of my people did. They were asking too, where's my muffin? I'm like, no, you're good. You're good.
Aren't you supposed to be the guy that gives people muffins? You're the muffin man.
Well, how about carbing up a week out?
Yeah.
I'm carbing up Monday. What the hell? What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's just crazy, the stuff I read online and that I see. And it's sad because I know these people are working hard and just not working out, and for obvious reason. So on that note, if anyone wants to reach myself on Instagram. You can DM me at the 2 E's, the Boston Mass, and Nate Tello, just like it sounds, Nate Telow. Reach out, hit us up. You know, we work together almost daily, even though we haven't worked out together in a while.
No,
It's,
right.
yeah,
When's the
right.
last time you worked out, Jose?
With you or period?
Period.
A week ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jay
But
was just
yes,
asking me today. Jay's like, you and Jose still training together? I was like, no, I need to get back because I'm not training with you. I'm at like 85%.
yeah.
Like I'm putting up big weights. You know, last
Yeah.
week I chest pressed the 140s, incline press the 140s for 10.
Huge.
But I took like 5 minutes rest after that set. You know, it's
Yeah.
like that little bit of shit. I'm not moving like I should. I'm not doing drop sets as much as I should. I'm like pushing hard for one hard set, but not the shit after that you would throw in.
Yeah. No, we'll start back up. We'll get in there. And also anyone that is interested in the Boston area, or if you're visiting Boston, look up Gym Hub. It's 27 School Street. You'll love it. The energy in there is great. And even if there's no one in there, because sometimes you be in there, you could be yourself and one other person or by yourself, and it's still awesome. You can play your own music,
Yep.
or you can shut it off and film a motivational video. So we have lots of that going
That's
on.
another that's for another video. These new generation of fitness influencers who come to a gym to just record speaking content and not actually work out.
Yeah, very
I
bizarre.
feel like an old man now. Like that's the thing apparently, right? These fitness influencers is it's not even making like there's one thing to come to a gym, film your set and maybe say, all right, guys, when I'm doing this chest press, you want to tuck these elbows in and, you know, kind of explain what you're doing. This has nothing to do with that. This is talking about, you know, how to get over a breakup, how to like shit that has nothing to do with the gym.
It has nothing to do with the gym, but he goes to the gym to film it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a film set. Maybe I'm missing a market here. We can be a Hollywood film set now. We're a pretend gym.
Yeah. Good. All right. I think we've covered enough. And it was good to cover the New Englands. Congratulations, Jay Cutler, Steve Weinberger, Bev Francis Weinberger. Yeah, till next week when we'll have more people to shit on. Let's call it, people to shit on.
Yeah, that's what we'll call this now.
All right.
All right. See you, Jose. Bye.
Bye-bye.